The War of the American Independence was a long and arduous struggle that demanded much of the American people of Rhode Island. Responded to the demands with patriotic fervor, enduring the dangers and deprivation of invasion and occupation at home. While sending soldiers to almost every major campaign throughout the war, some of the most noteworthy contributions were made by African American, Indian, and by members of the sovereign Narragansett Indian tribe, who fought alongside them in their battle for independence between 1775 and 1783. Then 750 of these men served in Rhode Island soldiers of the Continental Army and the state militia. This monument is inscribed with their names to commemorate the participation in the cause of American liberty, even though they labored under the burdens of slavery and racial discrimination. From the beginning of the war, there were blacks and Indians fighting alongside white soldiers in the various Rhode Island regiments and militia groups. But in 1775, there were at least 31 free blacks and Indians enrolled in several companies and regiments, including the regiment commander, James Vernon, Archibald Crary, William Richard, and John Topham. In December of 1776, the British Army seized control of Newport and subsequently occupied all the Adirondack Islands. In response to Rhode Island's legislature voted to raise their regiment to help dislodge the enemy. At the same time, the state was committed to providing 2 battalions of General George Washington in the Continental Army. As Rhode Island struggled to meet these quotas in 1777, General James Vernon of East Greenwich proposed to Washington that Rhode Island be allowed to raise a battalion of Negroes, and to Washington, the Rhode Island would be allowed to raise a battalion of Negroes. Washington forwarded the proposal of the governor, Nicholas Cook, and on February the 8th, 1778, the General Assembly passed an act that opened enlistment to every able-bodied Negro, mulatto, or Indian man slave in the state, and provided compensation to the affected slaveholders in return for their service for the enduring duration of the war, and the soldiers would be granted their freedom as well as wages and other bounty to which Continental soldiers are entitled. And this place was decked out with all the elite leaders and Chamber of Commerce and military, veterans organizations, and so on. Now here it is 5 years later, and it's like a grave. It's, you know, a guy drove by, saw us here, and he called it, and this is a white guy. He said that he loves this memorial. Now 10% of George Washington's army was black. That means out of the, I think, 8,000 that fought the whole year, the whole army, the whole war rather, 8,000 have been fought. So that means 10%. Not one memorial outside of Rhode Island that I know of, that I've researched. And nobody comes to it. Nobody knows. The books aren't teaching. The schools are deliberately avoiding the fact that not only was there 5,000 and 10% of the soldiers black in the Revolutionary War, but also that George Washington had a son by a slave named Phoenix. Now George Washington's son, if he had been king, because Martha couldn't produce a child, a son for him, those 3 children they had were stepchildren. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that even today in the 21st century, I don't understand why you're backing up if I'm coming to you.